I'm back, bitches.
I wasn't sure where you're going with that one. You're like, hold on.
Give me my
Say
moment.
nothing.
Give me my moment. Say less.
That's right, everybody. Devin, Kickstand Braun is back on the Blue Collar Philosophers podcast.
This feels so good. It feels right.
Feels right.
It feels like somebody's been sitting in my chair, though. Whoever they are, fuck them. You heard.
Will, Travis, Brian, fuck y'all.
I enjoyed listening to the podcast as a fan, but it feels good to be back in my rightful home.
That's right, and I'm glad you're back. Honestly, okay, I sent you that meme about the guys that were all getting together because life just kind of got in the way.
Oh my gosh, that almost made me tear up. I was like,
I
God damn
saw
it.
that, and I just finished recording with Travis. I literally just finished recording with him, and then I'm like, could cry. I'm like, I miss
It's something
Devin
about
so
the
much.
the music. The music with it was just
The
like
excitement, the joy, the text, like me and the boys finally getting together after life got in the way, and it's just like that
just
moment.
like that just hit in the feels because that's exactly what happened this summer.
Yeah. Oh, this whole summer got hijacked.
But it's fall and we back. Here, let's clinky again.
Yes. All right. So one of the things that happened.
Oh, it burns so good. It tastes so good on my lips.
It's a lot sweeter than I remember. We're drinking Suntory whiskey.
Suntory. Toki Suntory whiskey. I once gave this stuff to a 1% biker. And I told him, I know you won't ride anything Japanese, but maybe you'll drink it.
That's awesome.
It's Japanese whiskey, but it is delightful stuff.
Oh,
it's one of the best bang for your buck bottles out there.
You get a whole lot of flavor with it.
It ain't cheap.
It ain't cheap, but you're getting the amount of flavor you're getting for that price.
It's definitely more expensive than your average bourbon.
Yes, but
it's a change of pace.
Yes, and it's always nice to change pace once in a while. We've been drinking the rye. Obviously, you can see that went down quite a bit.
I only had a little bit of that.
There's still some left.
That's so sad.
And Will brought in the Lafoig, a 10-year Lafoig.
Nice.
And I forget. You always forget.
I picked up a bottle of the Lafroy quarter cask. So when Will comes on to debate me about apologetics, I think is what he didn't want to debate. He wanted to discuss.
Discuss, yeah.
I'll bring that in just to be like, here, like this is like extra smoky.
It was so good though. You forget about the smoke, you forget about the campfire, and then you take that first sip, and you're like, oh, there it is. And so I really enjoyed having Will on for that, and it was really good. So I did Travis's wedding, right?
Yes.
And then I realized I didn't have a whole lot of inappropriate jokes that I banked in my head as wanting to say, which sucked because I'm like, oh.
Because you were wanting to do a whole podcast of things you didn't get to say.
And I'm like, I didn't actually bank anything. I wasn't thinking that way the whole time. I'm like, no, just do a great job. Anyway, so my buddy Scott that I stayed with, he started listening to the podcast. Him and I had a little bit of a discussion the night of. We polished off a bottle of Bullet. Me, him, Amanda, and his father and mother. I don't know if she drank any, but we were just having a great conversation, hanging out. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to maybe give your podcast another listen. I don't think he gave it a full try. I don't know. But he gave it a listen recently. Mm-hmm. He texted me today. And he's like, I don't know why, but I've never wanted to verbally engage with the podcast so much. Is it because I know you? Is it because of the topics? And I'm like,
I don't know.
Why not both?
I tell you, like when I listen to the episodes you do with other people when I'm not available, I want to do it so bad, especially the ones with Will. I want to interject and participate in the conversations with Will so much.
I know. They're great conversations. And I don't feel like I come full force because I'm being polite and cordial at the same time, and then but also not just agreeing because I don't agree with most of what he says, which is fine. It's actually great. I really enjoy it.
It's great. It's great.
It's great.
It's fine. So it's fine. It's woman fine.
So yeah, Scott messaged me, and what else did he say? I asked him if I could talk about this on here because I thought it was so funny. He said, I have never had a podcast make me want to engage with the conversation so much. I don't want to know if it's your friendship or just the topics. I said, why not both? Probably. I had to turn it off because I couldn't hold back yelling at work. See, he was yelling at the radio.
Oh, that's perfect.
He messaged me early in the week after the Travis one. It says, he quotes me, or Travis, I don't like punching people, followed by directly by, here's all the ways to hit someone to disarm them. I'm like, we gotta know how.
I don't like doing it much.
But
When it happens, if you get a little kick from it, who's to say you're a bad person? It depends how much of a kick from it you get.
Yeah. So Scott, we gotta have him on. That's the thing. He's like, I am looking for a time to come up here now because he's been listening, and then we hung out and you just realize how much you miss hanging out with some people. You're like, shit, this is what it was like.
You're a good dude.
You're such a good dude. I can't wait to hang out. So we'll either Zoom him in eventually, or just have him sit in, or both, because he's a fun hang, and he's an old soul, and not like an old soul.
And an old soul. Sorry, is he like a Richmond, north of Richmond old soul? Or
No, he's the I like Friends. The like Friends, the TV series where some of us were The Office. Mm-hmm. A little more is our age, and Friends is like, after that or before that.
Before that, yes.
So he's on that level, or what's the other one? Scrubs, or yeah, it's just that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, okay, you're your mom's kid, whatever.
I've been spending all my time with somebody who is like 15 years younger than me for the last 2 months. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't understand you, dude.
I told the guys that are at work one of the guys at work, I'm like, tonight I'm recording. I might be ripping on guys like you. Like, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm probably going to be... just I'm going to be polite. I'm telling you straight up. I'm going to be ripping on pipeliners. Because I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but I have said it in my personal life of pipeliners are the degenerates of the oil field. And then as I do the job, I realize that I am the rightest person in the world.
That's right. You did not speak a lie.
I did not lie. I'm like, they are rough cut, bad decision making motherfuckers who love putting pipe in ground. And the world rotates around them. Honestly, we couldn't do what we do without guys like that. Mm-hmm. Like, as much as they're the rough cut, like, cuss out anybody, like, but they're nice guys. That's the thing. Like, they're great people. I just think they just need to be a little less. But I'm glad they
just
are.
Just dial it down. But I mean, I think pipelining takes a certain kind of big dick energy.
Oh yeah. And these guys, they're so fun to hang out with, and just the conversations that get had or not had. Some of them are really, like I said, degenerate of talking about shit that you can't say nowadays. I went to almost make a racist joke, and I hinted at it, and then I'm like, oh, no, hold it back. You might get canceled. Because I'm still thinking in the...
You're still thinking in pipeline terms now.
Well, I'm still thinking in...
you're still thinking in real world boundaries. Yeah. Real world boundaries.
Where if I get caught saying this in the wrong room, I'm like, oh, I'm fucking canceled. And they're like, no, you can say it, man. I'm like... All right. I got covered in dirt yesterday. I got completely dusted out. I'm cleaning off equipment and stuff like that. And there's so much dry dust because we haven't had any rain in like 2 weeks, really. Mm-hmm. And I just come out just covered in dust. And this big native guy that I work with, he looks at me and he's like, I'm like, I look like you. We could be cousins. And he's just laughing at it because he's like, you want to wash my windshield too? Like, he's just making fun of me because I'm the grunt that's covered in dirt.
See, like, when you go to Mexico, people are like, hey, you're Mexican.
Yeah.
They're not kidding. A couple shades darker. All it takes is a hard day work outside or a couple of good tans, and you could pass for another ethnicity.
Yeah.
It just happens.
I told you about my...
Especially with your stash.
It's gotten bad. Like, I had to shave again today.
Yes. Okay, so people in listening on Radio World, the Grinch or Biker Mike, as you know him, normally rocks a pretty handsome beard.
Oh, I like my beard, yeah.
He can't do that anymore. And I know if you're properly paying attention, if you're a real fan, you're paying attention to our social media, and you've seen him look like a sickly turtle as all of that went away.
Yeah.
But he's found a good compromise, and that is the perviest of perv stashes.
I
highly approve. I don't hate it at all.
No, I don't either. I'm like, oh, I think it plays. I think it plays. It's a soul patch with the mustache. And I think I'll keep it with the short stubble. You can't go clean shaven on it. Like I shave as little as possible.
Keep a little stubble. I think you need to try and get it going as long as you can, so you can start doing the whole mustache wax.
Oh, I thought about that. I thought that'd be pretty funny. I'm like, I could do that.
You should.
Just get the curly Q.
You look like a greasy extra from Tombstone.
That'd be great.
That movie has the most glorious mustaches.
Say when. I think that's that movie.
Say when.
Say when. So, yeah, it's been such a long time. So, yeah, Scott's going to come on, working with Degenerates. What else is new since you had to shave twice? I almost got a day off.
Almost.
Travis found out.
What's that?
Travis found out. He's like, are you sure? Are you sure you want a day off? You might not be getting paid. Want to get paid? And I'm like, I do want to get paid. And so I did take Saturday off, and I roofed. That's what I do on my days off, is I do grunt work that I have around my house. And then I went on a hike with the kids, and I did security for church.
And stood me up in height.
I did stand you up in height. I really...
Asshole.
Well, when I heard you went to the keg, I even felt worse. Don't worry. I'd made my wife feel worse overall. Because she's like, oh, there's this thing going on Monday night. Can I go? And I'm like...
It's like, for real right now.
And I'm really frustrated. Because
Are you listening to the words coming out of your mouth?
I'm like, you realize I really wanted to go see Devin. Like, I really, really wanted to go see Devin. Yeah, but no yeah buts. I've been working my sack off, and I really wanted to go see Devin and hang out for a little bit. And I don't. The thing is, I don't care if she goes out. I honestly don't. I encourage it. I'm like, no, go see people, have friends, because I want the more she has friends, the more I can hang out with you, and I don't have to justify.
Are you sure that's how it works?
I'm hoping, just hoping, because women are all about fairness. It's their thing. It's fairness.
No.
For the most part,
women are about equity. in the direction that it goes to benefit them. Mm-hmm. Fairness doesn't play into that at all, because you need to get knocked down a couple pegs while they go up a couple pegs.
I'm so glad she doesn't listen. Nobody tell her shit about what I say on this podcast.
Keep your fucking mouth shut.
Snitches get stitches and end up in ditches.
That's right. It's my favorite Dr. Seuss book.
Ooh. So yeah, I felt really bad, and then I found out you went to the keg, and so okay, how hobo did you look?
I looked good. I had clean shirt on, I was just looked like a well-dressed biker.
Okay, but you were there by yourself, so they just felt bad.
Yeah,
for
so I went. You stood me up. We weren't going to go out drinking.
You say it like that. It's accurate, but you don't have to say it like that.
I honestly though, I was like, today kind of sucks. So it's like, all right, I'm going to ride my bike from Hythe, from this crappy hotel. I'm going to ride into Grand Prairie and actually go get a nice dinner. So I did that. I went to the keg, sat at the bar, because you can just walk in and sit there. You don't have to wait for a table. And I had a nice meal. I had an appy, a big old steak, and 2 or 3 drinks.
Nice.
It was not a cheap bill.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I hear, we'll get that guy's bill too. I look over, and there's a couple, obviously out on a date, who, when they were checking out, paid for my bill. I was like, did you just pay for my bill? Yeah, absolutely. It struck up a bit of a conversation with them. But I was like, that was really odd. I don't know if they were swingers and I didn't catch the hint.
Or they didn't leave a key for you, or
maybe I do just look like a hobo and I don't realize it. And they were like,
"You can't afford this.
I don't think that guy can cover this check. You know what? We'll just do it for him and save him the embarrassment." Maybe that was it too.
They got their Instagram photo out of helping the less fortunate.
Yes. Oh, nothing would make me happier actually if I randomly came across that.
Oh, that would be so funny.
But like,
It's like, I own my own business.
it's like I'm doing well right now. Okay, well-ish, better than the last 6 months.
That's right.
At one point, the guy like during dinner had like reached over and tapped me, asked me a question about baseball. Happened to be an answer I knew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like he's
What do
like,
you know about baseball, though?
like almost zero. He's like, there was a game playing on the TV. It was the Dodgers.
Oh, so you knew the score.
It was the Dodgers and somebody else.
Okay.
And he's like, who's the other team in California? I'm like,
69.
I don't know.
No.
The Angels? He's like, that's it, the Angels. And yeah, so like, I don't know. It's like, he paid for my bill. I'm like, well, that's the most I've ever been paid for my advice and for my consultation in baseball knowledge. So
Right?
I consider it well earned.
Well earned. You just
I happened to be right, and it
you
paid
watched,
off.
You watched a Disney movie called Angels in the Outfield,
Exactly.
and that's exactly.
That's the only reason I know that name. If he had asked me who's the baseball team in Milwaukee, I'd be like, damn if I know.
Yeah. Chicago? Well, the Cubs, of
The
course.
only thing I know about Milwaukee is they have red tools. Like
Red. and Harley Davidson engines.
That's true.
That would be the Dodgers, Detroit Dodgers, I think. I don't know baseball either. Milwaukee? Is that the same region? I don't know.
It's Detroit. So now we're bleeding over into geography, and
Yeah.
I'm even worse at that than baseball.
I don't know baseball. I know Blue Jays, and that's about as far as that goes. I almost wanted to watch baseball. I started getting the pitching thing. I'm like, oh, it's just fetch with humans, but I'm starting to see the pitching and kind of the art of it, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get it.
Yeah,
but I don't
it's
have the
more
patience.
like chess.
Yeah. Where you're like, okay, which ball do I throw that's going to fake him out or he's not going to be able to read? And I threw this one last time, but if I throw that one again, he'll see it coming. Or he'll think I'm going to throw something else. And I'm like, okay, there is some art to this. But I don't have the patience for it. I barely have the patience for hockey lately, and I love hockey.
Playoff hockey. It's where the stakes are in.
That's right.
I kind of tune out during the season. When playoffs tune in, I'm like, okay, now it
Or at
feels
least close to it, so when you know
like
when your
now
team's...
it feels like it means something.
Yeah, the game opening doesn't matter. It's like, they could lose like the first half of the season and then still come out on top, or just break their way just barely in, like Edmonton.
Sneak in. Just
Edmonton.
sneak in.
It's the Edmonton way, really.
Every Canadian team.
Yeah, it does feel that way, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Every Canadian team just sneaks its way in.
Sneaks their way in.
I was
the
listening
skin
to
of their
this guy
teeth.
talking about hockey teams in Phoenix and places like Carolina and stuff like that. And it's like they do not care about hockey, but they have some of the best teams, the best lineups, the best management, but they don't give two fucks about hockey. Like the region, the town, the place doesn't care.
Like Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa. They don't care about hockey. They might care about it during playoffs if they're in. Go ahead. Now I don't want to. I was going to edit it. Now I don't want to.
I know. I started playing it up there because I knew you were going to leave it in.
All right. So, yeah, they just don't care about hockey, but for some reason they keep bringing in these great teams. And it's like, fuck you guys. You don't even care. But what's worse? Not having teams?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gives
they make for great games.
They do. They make great games. So it is for Canada, but somehow they make money down there. Somebody gambled, made money somehow doing it. Who cares? We got great games out of it. Sure, the Cup hasn't been in Canada in
it comes every year when Canadian players bring it home, bring it to their hometowns when they get their day with the Cup.
That's right. That's the only way we get the Cup in Canada. It's here half the year because that's where all the players are from.
yeah, pretty much. So we have that.
So we do have that. And UFC, I don't even have time for anymore. I'm not even keeping up. But for some reason, Facebook keeps pushing WWE stuff on my timeline.
Really?
Yeah.
That's odd.
But I do find it fascinating, but not like, oh man, this was great. It's like, no, it's interesting to me. That's about as far as it goes.
It's fascinating if you can watch it for the play it is.
Yeah.
Not because we all know it's not a sport.
No. Like it is athletic, but it's not.
It's athletic, but the whatever entertainment value there is more in its ability to try and make you suspend disbelief in a moment,
Yeah.
or to get you engaged in character work.
And do you know what's really interesting is people they rip on it so much. People hate WWE, but because of the this is not real. It's
But
like, do
that's-
you
but
fucking
that's
think
the
John
thing.
Wick is real?
Oh, yeah, exactly. But like that's the thing though that I think they've learned to play with as part of the art.
Yeah.
Is the fact that people like through and through now like there's no more knowing.
Yeah.
There's no more thinking that it's real. Like
Yeah.
that ship has sailed a long time ago.
But what we mean by real is that it's a sport and that
That it's a sport, that it's a real
mono-
competition.
Yeah, it's not
It's not
predetermined.
It's not a competition, right? They're working together to tell a story through scripted violence.
Yeah.
I think that's the way I would describe it.
Yes.
But they've learned to play with the fact that the audience knows it's not real with
Yeah.
a wink and a nod. It's
Yeah.
also wrestling now has kind of a Deadpool breaking the fourth wall quality to it
Yes.
that makes it fairly entertaining.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I do indulge. It's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, and it should be guilty. It should be. but that's the thing. There's some people they'll rip on it. It's like, oh, but it's not real. But it's like, no, none of it's fucking real. No movie you ever watched is really real. Even Cocaine Bear. Oh, it's not real.
It's not real. It's like,
Technically, there was a bear. Technically, there was cocaine.
it probably
Technically-
died instantaneously, but rather than going on a giant killing spree. But at the same time, though, if somebody heard that story, it was like, my gosh, have I got a wild, crazy movie to make out of this?
Yeah.
Fly at it.
Yeah. So yes, it's based on true events ish. It's light, but that doesn't make it less entertaining. Why not just embrace the entertainment, embrace the indulgence, and say, okay, I know that you're exaggerating. I know that this is like same with John Wick. Mm-hmm. Nobody could fight that hard for that long, shoot that good, that consistently.
Or we'll drive it home, like Yellowstone or Sons of Anarchy.
Oh yeah,
Right? Like, I don't know a cowboy that doesn't love the shit out of Yellowstone, and I don't know a biker that doesn't secretly closet binge watch Sons of Anarchy. As much as they want to rip on it all, they've seen every damn episode, and I know 1% bikers that have admitted to me that they've watched every episode. Like, you drop a little line or an Opie reference or something like that, and their ears perk up too seriously with the realness of life, and try and make fake things live up to that standard. You're just kind of curmudgeonly.
Yeah, you become less pleasant. You're no longer playing in the realm of world, because if you're just focusing on real life all the time, you're going to be a miserable cunt. And you're just going to think about, well, that's not real. What's really real is kids dying in Ukraine. It's like, oh, yeah, no, I know. We all know it's horrible. Can we not just suspend some of that? And I'm pretty sure even people who are in it, that's why they have entertainers go to
places,
war
to war
zones,
zones and
to just
military
suspend that
camps and stuff.
moment of, hey, we're not at, we're at a comedy show. Like, that's why comedians go to places like that. And it's,
like sometimes you need to let your hair down.
yeah,
Like we didn't get to go to Loud as Hell this year.
no,
That was one of the things that was first on the chopping block when our lives changed.
Yeah.
And our lives changed about 3 weeks before that happened.
yeah,
So that was on the chopping block. However, I did take the opportunity to go to another concert as kind of in lieu.
Yeah.
But it was so nice to go to a show in the midst of all the other stress I have going on in my life, like crazy work schedule.
yeah. You did
things that
turn
I-
and burn on that one too. You
Yeah.
went to the show and
I
came
went
back.
to the show, slept, went to a hotel as soon as it was done, and then hoofed her back to work that day. I worked both days.
You worked the day of and the day after.
Yeah.
So you worked the morning,
Exactly.
went to the show,
Went to the show.
rode back,
Worked
in the evening or afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's. Did you wear earplugs?
No, I forgot to bring earplugs.
Okay,
And I
so that
felt-
means you
I
wish
felt
you.
it. I felt it the next day. I was right in it in the
that's
moment.
how
of the
old I
concert.
am now, where I'm like, I would bring earplugs, but that's just so I can enjoy the music more.
I mean, if you scanned around the whole crowd, I would say 3/4 of people were wearing earplugs in the venue.
Really?
Amidst the headbanging, moshing, the pit and all that jazz, people are still wearing earplugs.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's still loud. You still
yeah.
feel it. You just don't have the ringing going on.
The smashing of the cymbals. That's the thing. Like those cymbals just crashing. They get to the point of just sounding like static in your eardrums.
I didn't get that. It was just the sound hangover the next day.
Oh yeah.
But just to my point there, it was a needed break from the bullshit of life to go enjoy some entertainment. Like, and everybody needs that, no matter how serious or light it is. Sometimes you need to just go have some fun, let your hair down.
Yeah.
So, I hooked up with our buddy Jeremiah.
Yeah.
And we had ourselves some Jack and Cokes in the bar underneath the venue, before it started. Went upstairs. We listened to 3 concerts, had more Jack and Cokes. It was a really good time.
Oh, I imagine. I would love.
Okay, such a cool venue. If you ever have an opportunity to go to a concert at the Starlight Room in Edmonton, neat venue. Like it's a 100-year-old brick building in the middle of Edmonton. Like I think it was built in like 1924.
Oh, really? Isn't it funny that 100-year-old buildings are now 1924? My brain still goes to early 1900s.
Yeah.
And it's like 100 years old, 1924. I'm like, could you imagine when somebody says, "Oh, 100-year-old building, it was 1956." It's like, what?
Is anything that we're building now going to last 100 years?
No.
Yeah. It's an old Salvation Army, like built out of brick in like a Gothic style by the same guy that built the McDonald Hotel.
Okay.
It's a nice building.
Oh, I imagine.
So we're upstairs, like getting ready for the concert. We're like, this is gymnasium flooring underneath us. Like, so the top floor is where the concert was. The bar is in the basement.
Wait.
But the Salvation Army back in the day had a gymnasium, and that was where they actually built the concert venue in.
Isn't that terrifying then? Like, what's okay? You said gymnasium flooring.
Yeah.
What did the floor look like underneath? Was there a lot of support structures? What I'm saying, like the floor underneath, did it have like walls through it, or was it just another flat floor?
It's hard. It was hard to tell. Like, I mean, in the bar underneath, like there was a lot of I think support structures.
Okay.
There's to take a piss, and when I went downstairs, all the sound from the concert upstairs was gone.
Really?
Completely insulated. They were doing karaoke down in the bar.
No.
It's like complete separation. I couldn't believe how well insulated it was. Like, so I don't know what they've got going on between those 2 floors, but it's pretty skookum.
Black magic.
It must be.
Just got a spell going on all the time. That's what you did. Go to a metal show, so.
I did. Black metal show.
A black metal show.
Yes.
Can you say what bands they were? Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, sure. The openers were a band called Storm Ruler, and the other one was Swallow the Sun, and then the headliner was a band called Batushka.
Okay, I've heard of Batushka, but only heard of it because I'm sure you've said it. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I've probably mentioned it to you.
Yeah, but black metal, that's got to be a different world from what I'm used to.
A little bit. Like, I mean, it's...
I don't know. There must be a lot of carryover from the metal scene to the black metal because we don't have that many.
And each of the bands had a whole different flavor to them. Like, they were all black metal, but only, like, to a degree. Like, they each had their own kind of separate subside. Like, Storm Ruler, the openers, like, they were a bunch of young guys. They were, like, it was like it was like watching like Metallica or Megadeth in the early 80s when they were playing clubs. Like, it was like young guys with long hair and like spike gauntlets playing flying V guitars as fast as they can. Like, it was
just trying to cram as many notes as they can into a second.
Well, I don't think that's it. It's just like the rhythm. The rhythm was really fast.
Okay.
And like they had a very classic metal sound to them. So if you could like mix like, any black metal band of that springs to mind with Judas Priest, then you would kind of have an amalgamation of what the sound is. It's like a mixture of power metal and black metal.
Okay.
Second band, totally different. They had, every now and then, they had that black metal creep through, like kind of that fast tremolo, high screaming. But then they would just go into like dreamy shoegaze, music.
Huh.
like they were super cool. Like I highly recommend checking out Swallow the Sun. So yeah, it was very progressive, very diverse music that when they were so dreamy and kind of spacey that when they went hard, it hit so much harder than you thought it would. Like it was a rad show.
Did you ever listen to Into Eternity?
Yes.
Yeah, that's you were just talking about it a little bit. I'm like, that sounds like a little bit, just a smidgen of what they would have been back in the day.
Yeah, that might have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Batushka was like they're like kind of like straight up black metal with this whole injection of orthodox liturgical music, injected into it, like Orthodox chanting and
yeah, I was gonna say
stuff like
chanting
that.
and
Yeah, like chanting, sometimes like tinging of bells and different things. Like their whole setup was set up like some kind of like religious space with icons and skulls, and like so it was like a black liturgy. Like it was.
How did Jeremiah like it?
Loved it.
He loved
yeah,
it.
he and I really enjoyed ourselves. But I mean, it was one of those things where, as Christians going to that, you're like, you're obviously not a Christian band. Like that's very much come across. How do we feel about this? Like the music is great. It seems like you're doing this with a sense of reverence, but also inversion. So I mean, it was interesting to play with and talk about and like discuss afterwards what we thought the symbolism was between certain things. Because like as opposed to a band like Ghost, which is a modern pop metal band that just rips on Christianity. They hate it.
Yeah.
And so they pretend to be TV preachers and popes and stuff like that, and like they kind of act like petulant little children, like, but religion sucks, like kind of mentality. And this had a very different feel to it. It was very much like we recognize the beauty and the grandeur and we disagree, but we want to use some of this to help the aesthetic of our thing, right? Like, so there was a certain degree of respect and accuracy that they were using in presenting that was different. They really did mean it to be blasphemous. Like, let's not make bones about it and be like, oh man, maybe it's
you're pushing people to Jesus whether they're naked or not.
I mean,
maybe they are.
Maybe they are. I mean, to a degree. Like, I discovered this band 2 years ago, right before we started the podcast. I was super into them our first few episodes.
Oh, really?
That we did. Yeah,
that's so funny.
But their thing actually helped me get used to Orthodox sounding chant. Yeah, that was something that made me think like, I really do like this vibe.
Yeah.
And it was good to encounter it in its natural environment in the church. But at the same time, this is one of the things that helped me get used to it. So in a way it did.
That is now I briefly remember you showing me something at one point. I think you did. Which doesn't surprise me.
It was so they're all up there in like Orthodox monk habits. So they've got hoods on that cover their faces entirely. They're covered in inverted schemas. So a schema is a mantle that a monk who's reached a certain degree, like in their order, gets. It's got crosses and skulls and all that kind of stuff. It tells a story of humanity's relationship to God and salvation.
Yeah.
So that's what
the rise and fall kind of.
Yeah. So that's kind of what monks wear. So they were wearing very, very similar things, like very, very detailed, like very, very detailed, like representation of it. Like they weren't just flying off the cuff. They did the research.
Yeah.
So they had a very cool vibe for the live show. But they didn't move around a lot, right? Like they were acting like monks while they're playing this. And
just standing stoically
it showed me as a metal fan that you don't need to be David Lee Roth. Like you don't need to be a wild, crazy frontman to have real stage presence.
Yeah.
Like this guy's stage presence was standing in front of a microphone in front of an icon stand. And all he did as far as conveying emotion was with his hands, with gesturing. And he had the whole crowd in the palm of his hand, to the point where if he just tilted his hand like that with his fingers up, the whole crowd would erupt like in woo and like hands up sort of thing with it. Like they were so focused, like, because they were the only things you could see of his skin. They're the only things you could see of his to express oneself. So he could convey all the emotions of the music and of his interplay with the crowd with only his fingers and wrists.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, he didn't address the crowd. He didn't speak to the crowd or anything like that. He stayed in character the entire time.
Huh.
It was a fascinating display of showmanship.
I would love to interview him, or just the band. I would just love to just chat and be like, hey, like, fucking, how much research did you do?
Well, I mean, there are interviews of how much they did. Like, I think 2 of them.
Yeah, but I want to talk to him. Fuck that.
I know. I'll leave it be. You can look it up online. I won't regurgitate it like a parrot, but like it was just it was a fantastic show.
Ooh.
I went to their merch table to get some stuff, and I was like, I really don't want to spend a lot of money here. Like, I've already spent a lot of money in fuel and drinks.
Fuel and drinks and
so I was looking
time
at
off.
I was looking at what they got on their table, sort of thing. I was like, if I am going to spend money, I'm going to throw some bones at the opening act, because they make nothing on these tours. So I bought a T-shirt from the openers.
Yeah.
But they had cassettes of their most recent record.
Really?
Like old school cassette tapes.
Do you have a cassette player?
My shitty beat up Ford F-150. That's the only thing that works in it is a cassette player.
The truck that you drive is the one thing.
So I was like, sure, I'll pick it up. I paid the $10 for the cassette. Like, all right.
They sold one. Yeah.
I didn't even know if the cassette player in my truck actually worked.
You're just hoping it doesn't chew the tape up.
Hoping. So what I did was, Chris and I, on our way back.
Is that where you got the Alan Jackson CD or cassette?
So we went back to a thrift store through in Grand Prairie as we're going home, and just went to like, oh, there's cassettes there, and just got like 10 for $3 of old country and like old country tapes, like Bing Crosby crooners, and like an Elvis Christmas. I was like, all right, let's put these in there. And I was
Love
like,
songs from the 90s.
Pretty much. And I was like, oh, wow, this cassette player actually works really, really well. And this sounds so much better than my Bluetooth speaker or the FM transmitter that I normally use. Like, okay, I think. So I started going to thrift stores.
To find cassettes?
Yeah. That's 100%. I spent like $60 on it now.
Did you ever make mixtapes?
No.
Back in the day where you would like wait for a song to come on and press record?
No, like
I totally did that.
The heyday of tapes were too early for me. Like I came into music just as it was phasing into CDs.
Yeah, no, I was doing mixtapes. I remember.
I just remember destroying some of my parents' tapes by like taking the eraser of a pen and like putting it in the hole and like spinning it around and like just fucking around with the tapes, taking the tape out from the top.
No, I fixed them. I fixed them when they were doing that. That's what I had many tapes wrecked by shitty stereos, but you knew it worked some of the time, so you'd use it until it would fuck it up, and then. Yeah.
So I mean, it's the little things. It's the little things that keep a guy sane. Like I've been living away from home for 2 months.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Except for like driving home for a Saturday.
It was just a long weekend, and you came home for Sunday.
Yeah.
Like you got home late Saturday night. And you left early Monday morning?
I stayed at home with the family on Sunday, and I left the home at 6 a.m. on Monday.
Yeah.
So it's...
And you got home late, late
I got home at 9:30 last night.
Yeah, so you've been just...
I've been gone.
Did you take a day off at least today?
No.
No, you went right back to work.
I slept in for an hour and a half,
and
then I went to work on a roof, re-shingling a house.
Ooh. What color do you need? Because I just got some black shingles that I got no use for now.
Oh, dude, I haven't seen the new stuff. For today, we were stripping the roof and cleaning up.
I got some starter edge if you need it. Anyways.
We bought everything we need.
Well, fuck, what am I supposed to do with it? I'm going to throw it out otherwise. I finished my roof. I'm pretty happy. I got to do the ridge vent.
Oh, for the shed?
Yeah, for the shed. I finished that, so it's all sealed in enough until I get my ridge vent. But I'm just glad to have it covered so that everything in there is going to stay dry. So you're working with this young guy, 22?
21, I think.
21, 22. Now, one of the things that I asked you was, have you had any good conversations? Because you can't help but at least try and have a conversation once in a while with somebody because it's boring otherwise and you just want to blow your brains out.
Click, click.
And you were saying that you're not able to have as many good conversations as you like as when we were working together.
Oh no, it's so different. Like one, the dynamic is different. Right? You and I have been friends for so long.
Yeah.
When we're working together, we're just straight up buddies that are hammering and screwing things. Like
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
With him, I'm his boss. Like I interviewed him, I hired him, like I communicate with him, like pick him up in the morning, all that stuff. Like I'm his boss.
Yeah.
And I'm 15 years older than him.
Yeah.
There is not a lot he and I have in common.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gap.
It is. Like I was like, hey, do you listen to any podcasts? No, not really. Well, what do you listen to for music? It's like, I mean, I really like
The classics,
I
like 3 Days Grace.
I like
and-
Eminem. I was like, I really like Eminem and like Mac Miller, and like rattles off like a bunch of rappers. And like every now and then I listen to country when we're out drinking in the bush. And yeah, it's like I like redneck stuff.
Just
Like okay,
Oh.
he really likes trucks.
just really likes pickup trucks.
Really likes pickup trucks. Like that's about it. Like his friendship and social circles are all partying. Like that's what
That's just where he's at.
That's where he's at. That's what he lives for.
Yeah.
We had one good conversation at one point. That's about his personal life. So
Yeah.
I will leave that
Yeah.
not here. But apart from that, and that was the one time. Like
Yeah.
apart from that, like there's no tit for tat. There's not a lot.
He's not
of,
challenging you. He's not asking you questions.
There's
about...
no way to engage other than with the work or with whatever superficial things that we kind of have in common.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. One of the things that I do when working with you is I just come in and be like, hey, random thought. And I just bring up some stupid shit that I was, well, not really stupid. It was actually very introspective of
and then
break
we
down the
go
culture.
off
And
on
we're
that
like,
for 3 days. Or you say something retarded and I say something equally retarded
Yep.
in response.
Yeah. And you just kind of have fun on that. And you're like, I can make a conversation last 3 days. And I could say a joke from 2 days ago and you're going to still be laughing about it. Because,
Yeah, it's so different. We're not buddies.
yeah, that's
And yeah, I mean, but at the same time though, like you do have buddies, but that you don't really like really connect with intellectually that much too, right? So yeah, there's just been a big lack of that. Like I haven't been on the podcast since we got back from Vancouver.
yeah, that's
Like we did
right.
one after we got back.
Yeah, talking
That
about your
was-
Christendom, and then
And that was it. And I'll tell you, man, like I've had a hard time even thinking about what I want to talk about when we come back. Like my level of intellectual engagement has just like nosedived. Like on one hand, like there's nobody to keep the pump primed
yeah,
for the most part. On the second hand, I've got so much mental bandwidth tied up with work and with like lawsuits and you know all the stuff that I have going on that area of my life right now that I don't have the bandwidth that I have had up to this point.
yeah.
The freedom to intellectually play, I don't have it.
That's that could be difficult. I imagine just be like, oh, this
It's
is
different.
because it's different. It's not bad. Like there are seasons where you got to go into. It's like, okay, now's not the time to be thinking about whether or not the mafia would vote Democratic or Republican. Like that's something I enjoy thinking about because it's stupid shit. But I also don't. I work a lot with my hands more than my brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh, you're putting a fence up. Okay, putting a fence up. I can think about things while I'm doing that because it's not hard work. Except for don't let the barbed wire fucking cut you again, or don't drop a pump on your finger, or
And when I get to work alone at just like taping, for the most part,
yeah,
I can do that, but I haven't had the opportunity to do that. Like we've been putting up drywall, like boarding, and not an easy thing. So it was a very difficult job to do. So I'm constantly thinking about measurements, math, subtraction, addition, where that goes. Is this board the right side up to cut on that side? Like that's what I'm doing all the time. Plus communicating with somebody who's learning the trade with me.
Yeah.
Like I haven't had my own bubble. I haven't even I've been living in a hotel with this kid too, right? Like like we haven't had separate rooms. Like so it's just like
just trying to save money.
Oh my gosh, like having my own space. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
And it's different than with your family. It's different than with my wife.
I got earbuds. I picked up a set of earbuds. I'm like, I need something in my ears sometimes.
Oh, I've tried to put on an audiobook or a podcast or something like that in the last 2 months. Mm-hmm. And every time I get right into it, it's like an issue comes up, or I get a call from my lawyer, or my employee comes and asks me. There's no flow.
Yeah, it doesn't. You don't get right into that like you said, flow. That rhythm of okay, I can get into this book.
Yeah, it's just my attention.
I could imagine, but
it's so different.
I'm running lead on the truck.
I haven't experienced anything like this in a long time.
Oh, it's got to be a shift. I'm running lead on a truck. So randomly I'll be like, we're listening to a podcast, and I'll just put it on because I'm lead. We're sitting in a truck. He falls asleep anyways. It's not like we talk about things because he sleeps, and fine. Fuck it. You don't have to stay awake. You're tired. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to listen to what I'm going to listen to because if I just listen to nothing, you fall asleep. I listen to country or rap, you're going to fall asleep. I'm going to listen to what I want to listen to. And if you want to fall asleep, that's okay. I'm not mad at it.
It's on you.
Yeah. And once in a while he'll wake up and like catch something and he'll chuckle or be like, oh, that's interesting. And I'm trying to inadvertently
educate
him on things and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And he's like, I never thought about it. It's like, it's not in my circle of thinking. It's not how he thinks, which is fine.
Yeah. Phronema.
Yeah.
That is an interesting concept. The little bit that I have been able to invest in thinking, like I got a book from my friend Lucy when I got christened, or chrismated. Yeah. So I got a book like by a PhD on, it's a word called phronema, which is basically like the way you think. Like it's a Greek word for the lens from which that you process things that come in and come out.
Okay.
And about building one that is properly orthodox. Because it's different. You just have a different way of thinking. And when you're thinking with a different mindset, it's hard to like jump back and forth. But like you said, like you just don't think certain ways, or like your buddy there, or your coworker.
Yeah.
It doesn't think, it doesn't enter the realm, of how he processes the world, right? Like your phronema is so important. Like,
yeah.
Like I use that word because that's the one in my mind.
Yeah.
But regardless of what you are, it's important to actually tend that, to intend your lens and make sure that it is something that is like open and engaged and that gives you like wisdom and value in the world.
Yeah.
And like it sucks feeling like mine is like shriveling.
Yeah.
But at the same time it's like it's still in front of my mind that like I need to feed it. I need to form it when I can. And when you do, you help other people enrich.
Yeah, I'm in the process of challenging some of the guys at work who, and just talked about, hey, what do you do for fun? Hey, what do you do here? What's your thing? And he's like, this guy's like, I like games. I'm like, that's cool. What kind of games are you talking about? Video games? Are you talking about board games? Like board games. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Some of these guys, you don't think they're going to be out about board games, video games. Like it's kind of mind numbing, but they have great storylines. I love a good video game. But he's into board games and movies. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And he's into karma. But then I saw him do something that I haven't had a chance to bring it up with him yet, and I'm not dropping names or anything like that. But he did something in a way that I'm like, okay, if you truly believe in karma, are you not worried about the karma that this action that you're doing right now is going to bring to your future self? So I'm not saying I'm a big, I'm not all about karma, but if you believe it, I'm gonna ask you questions about it. He believes in the church of self. I believe in me, and I'm like, well, I don't believe in me because I'm a bit of a fuck up. and at the same time, I'm like, okay, what do your bad actions, as good as they may
What?
seem to yourself?
What have you done to land you here pipelining? That's like, first of all.
Oh, I can't even talk about it. I can't talk about it. Oh, I got stories after. But it's just these interesting characters of these guys. You get to get inside their head and start talking to them and try and get a little deeper, because these guys are a little bit older than the guys you're working with. Because 21, fuck, I don't expect much out of them.
Okay, now that you say that, there's something that my, I'll just call him Ash. There's something that Ash said a bit ago that I let go, but kind of want to bring back. He was talking about his dog like freaking out at something like in the darkness. He's like, I don't know what he saw. It's like maybe it was a ghost or something, but he said it not ironically.
Yeah, he wasn't like a
It was
ghost, like oh.
Yeah, it was like, what is it, a ghost, stupid dog? Like
Yeah.
like as if it was like that's something that in his world is entirely possible.
Yeah.
I really, really want to go down that rabbit hole now that I remembered that.
Yeah, they say something and you're like, fuck, there's so much there. And the thing is,
And I'm trying to think, like, where does that fit for Christians? Like, is that something
Ghosts?
that fits? Yeah, is that something that fits into our worldview?
It depends on which Christians you ask. My father, if you ask him, it's like there's no such thing as ghosts. They're all demons. That's it. That's his go-to answer. No ghosts, all demons. If you see a ghost, it's not a ghost, it's a demon. And yeah, and then you got these liberal Christians that barely know the Bible and try not to, that would be like, no, ghosts are real, and that's it. But I don't know.
Yeah, like that's you know what? That might be a fun topic to actually do.
Tackle
Ghosts and the kind of Christian religious mind. Or worldview.
Yeah. I find it very funny that some people will like scoff at ghosts, but then they'll be like, yeah, but angels, fucking don't fuck with angels. Those are 100% real. But ghosts, come on, don't be childish.
Don't be silly. Don't be silly.
So you
Okay, or for instance, like, so I was, when I could, I was listening to Rogan the other day there, and
which one?
recent one he did on UFOs.
Okay, yeah, the two guys. That
the two guys. The one. Yeah. So I it took me like 2 days to get through the podcast.
It's a lot of podcasts, that one.
I mean, it's no longer than his normal ones.
It felt longer.
Yeah, normally it's one, like any of his shows are one that I can do in an afternoon. But it took a couple days to get through the sucker.
Yeah.
But at one point, they're talking about, like, are people like the containers for souls that aliens are like harvesting? Like,
oh yeah,
and they're
talking currency.
Yeah, and they're talking about it without scoffing. And yet at the same time, whenever Rogan talks about faith or religion, it's like, well, I can see the social aspect of it, I guess, maybe, but isn't it kind of fucking stupid? Like right, like that mindset of like,
yeah, but he only does that with like he never earnestly does it with Christians or people of faith. He never did it to Ben Shapiro.
He doesn't do that to people of faith to their face. But when he's talking just about it all, like in the end, it's kind of like it's just like, that's weird bullshit that Constantine invented. Mm-hmm. But like when talking about,
he doesn't go as far as Constantine.
No, he does. 100%.
Does he?
He's like, yeah, Christianity is something that Constantine invented. Like, he says that so often.
I must have missed it.
Which is so. It's
How
so
do you bring
silly.
up Constantine and not the Council in Nicaea and say, oh, the Bible is just a bunch of, like, where did the Bible come from? It's like, well, you can talk about Constantine, but you can't talk about the Council in Nicaea.
Well, no, because they hear something like Emperor Constantine, who made Christianity legal. They hear something like, well, he didn't get baptized till the day before he died, or something like that, and they're like, well, he converted on his deathbed, so obviously he didn't believe. Like, so they have they hear a fact like that, and they build up a whole thing around it of why it's obviously bullshit, rather than looking at the history and what the real context was around that. Yeah, maybe that's like another episode for another time. Mm-hmm. Because I haven't done enough research to just rattle off like a whole bunch of historical stuff, but I know there's more to it.
Yeah,
and I know where to find it.
You got to do an amateur Christian on Constantine.
I should. Actually, that would be a great one to do.
That would be an interesting one because he is a conflicting character, even among Christian theologians or not theologians, scholars.
Yeah. I haven't touched that podcast since
you've been busy,
Easter.
man.
No, not since Easter. I haven't touched.
that.
I haven't touched that one since we had Mike on to talk about going to Zambia.
With that being said, I got one for Halloween. We have to do one for Halloween.
On what?
For All Hallows Eve, like the whole Halloween thing.
Oh, okay.
I think that would be a really good one for Amateur Christian.
That would. I kind of want to do either relics or that for Halloween.
Oh yeah. Why not both? I hope you're in town for a little bit.
I shouldn't be going anywhere in the near future.
The thing is, even if I'm not here, like we're taking on a lot of shit this next coming little while.
Well, I know you got another wedding to MC here.
I'm taking on a mentoring group.
Oh, you are?
They want me to mentor people. It's ridiculous.
Fools!
They were like, we're really sad that you left. I'm like, really? I did none of the homework. I winged it, and I always came out on top. Like, I am the worst person to be mentored
So
and
you're,
to mentor
you're actually
others.
giving that a shot.
Yeah, we're gonna do a new couple or young marriages and stuff like that. People not newlyweds, but
Okay, so something
young
you can-
families.
Yeah, something you can do with Amanda.
Yeah, we're doing it as a family kind of.
That makes sense.
Because, yeah, it's just something, and it's in the evenings and stuff, and they're letting me mentor people, and they're giving me an outline of, hey, use this book, and I'm like, I'll look at it.
No promises.
No promises. I will take your principle and I will make it palpable. Like, I'm going to make it more interesting than you did. I don't know. I have a hard time with some of this stuff. Mostly because I don't actually think it's discipleship. They say discipleship. They don't know what discipleship means. I have a really hard time with that.
You use that word, but I think only because you read it in the Bible a couple of times.
Yeah, like, oh, we disciple people. I'm like, do you? Do you? Yeah, we're doing a 6-month disciple. Oh, there you go. You put a timeline on it. That's not discipleship. Discipleship is years, like what we did with the club. It was discipleship for a long time. And it wasn't just us being discipled. It was us discipling others. And we did it. We did a fucking, I'm just going to say it. We did a great job. We did.
I hope so. I hope we did. I hope we gave a positive impact on people's lives. Like, I know there's people that had a positive impact on ours.
Yep.
Like, I wish things were different than they were.
Yep.
But
alas. Hey, all good things come to an end. They have their season, and that's why we stayed in it. It wasn't a short one for us.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was great. So with that, I tried going into my Bible and trying to find this verse. There was this verse that spoke, and I'm trying to remember it, but it says scholars be able to have conversations with simple conversations with simple men. Something along those lines. And I
Google it.
I tried Googling, but it's all about difficult conversations. No, sometimes it's about having simple conversations with simple people. And it's the same thing. It's like if you just get so high on your horse that you can't have conversations with young guys like what you're working with, or guys that are a bit...
But that's the thing. I can't. I'm struggling.
Difficult. It is difficult. Because I just don't think he challenged. You ever think that some people don't want to be challenged because they're like, I don't want to look too deeply. Because if I look too deeply at this thing, it's going to get me confused, or I'll have to deal with it then. And again, okay, here's the thing. These guys that I'm working with, they quit drinking. Among other things, they quit things. And I'm the only guy drinking now.
So you quit drinking since you started working there.
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm doing nothing. I'm doing nothing at all. Like, I'm really, like, one of the guys had quit for a little while, and he stopped for a while, and then he started again, and now they're like, no, we need to quit. And this other guy's like, I'm going to quit drinking and other things at the same time. And I'm like, really? Am I really going to be the only guy drinking in this crew? Like, what the fuck? Like, how is the professed Christian the only guy that can have a beer?
I know that's
yeah.
But I will say, there's drinking, and then there's drinking.
Yeah, I don't
You
drink.
don't. You don't.
I
You don't
don't.
do the latter.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that people got to quit.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's the thing. If you can't have one or two and stop, don't.
Yeah.
I've said it a million times. And that's what they were getting to, is that they weren't just having a drink. They weren't just doing a little bit of weed once in a while. They went a little on deep end on some things, and it's like, no,
Yeah,
this is good. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a
binging
whiskey.
is bad. Like because binging turns into extended benders, and extended benders just turns into constantly being
Yeah,
either high or drunk.
yeah, or just coming into work every single day. It's like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I am here. I'm not able to do my best, but I'm here. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do this. And no bitching. That's another thing. Oh, that's something I love about this job. No.
People are tougher.
They are tougher. There was a guy I was working. He's not listening. He'll never listen. If it got too hot out, he had to quit. Oh, it's 21 degrees and we're on a roof that doesn't have shade. It's too hot.
We're gone.
We're
No,
done.
you can't do that, and you can't make money doing that.
And it
Like
got.
I'm sorry, you just can't.
And that's why I was scraping the bottom of the barrel for the last 2 years, is that I'm working with guys that quit when it got warm out. These guys, unless it's raining to the point where we can't move trucks,
Yeah.
we're working.
Yeah, as long as equipment is functional,
Yeah,
go.
they're going. No bitching, no excuses. I drop a pump on my finger, smash it. I might have broken my thumb.
Mm-hmm.
And I told myself, don't be a bitch. Get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's
true. I mean, like, because like you can get a like, say in construction, you can get a job that's like, you know what, like we can make 20 grand here for like not a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, like awesome. Like it seems great when you start, but if you're not diligent to bust your ass every day to make that happen, and follow up on that blessing you've been given, you can piss away the value of that job in time so fast.
Yeah.
Like, what could be like, let's say 10 grand to go in your pockets in a week and a half.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. Yeah.
But when your job takes a month,
You've just lost that.
you've lost all that and you're making wages again.
Yeah. You're barely getting by. You're just scraping.
Right? Like you can't you just can't function as a profitable business that way.
Yeah.
And so it takes dedication. It takes not being home for 2 months sometimes in order to capitalize on the things that you have.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I'm noticing is like, man, sometimes it just takes putting in the time. Like just sacrifice now, so that when tax season comes, you have a down payment for a motorcycle. Or I'm trying
Yeah.
to.
I mean,
in.
that is when you're making wages.
Yeah.
Like that.
You're coming up. Dude. You've been working your sock off for too long.
I know, but tax, the whole tax return thing to me.
Yeah, that don't mean shit.
It doesn't mean anything.
The only way that means something is if you overpay on your taxes.
Overpay taxes, and yeah, like up till now, all the money that should be going into taxes was not paid to us.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
So we are in trouble and trying to dig out of that hole.
Yeah. And it's coming. It is coming, I believe, because
name it and claim it.
Name it that
in the name of Jesus.
Jesus. Blasphemy right there. Straight to hell.
Where's the stone?
So yeah. So this I smashed my thumb. Might have broken it. Or whatever. Don't be a bitch. Get back to work. And this young guy that I'm working with, he got in a car accident. Fucked up his truck pretty good. Yeah, it warmed up. Don't worry about it. And
that was a lot of head. And not the good kind.
Not the good kind.
No, that was just beer foam.
Just beer foam consumed him. So, yeah, buddy fucked up his truck. Like, got in a car accident. Not with anybody else, just by himself. And fucked his truck right up. He was out of work for 3-4 days. And he came to work sore as fuck. Like, he's pretty wrecked. But he's like, I need to get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, and I'd like to say it's because of the precedent that we're setting of, unless you got a legit reason. Like if you can't work, don't work. But if you can, fucking be there. Be sore, be grumpy, be bitchy, whatever you got to do.
Whatever.
But just be
Get your
there.
ass on site.
Yeah, and say nothing when you get hurt. Oh, I know it's bad, and safety people hate it. They're like, no, you're supposed to say something. If something happens, you say something. It's
Only
like,
if you're
no.
gushing blood or like literally have an arm hanging on by tendons and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, like, this
Lost
needs to be dealt with.
lost consciousness. Like, you got a real problem. Not, I got an owie because half the guys are like, yeah, if I cut my hand, I'm just putting my glove back on and hoping that it catches all the blood. I work with good guys.
I mean, we've all been there. Like, we've all been there. Be like, this is not worth the paperwork.
That's right.
Like, what? Okay, well, what am I gonna do to deal with this on site, to field dress this, and then get back after it?
Oh, I got blue tuck tape and paper towel. Cool. That is now a Band-Aid, and I'll deal with it later. And yeah, because the paperwork's not worth it. I'm sorry. Does sick pay or injured pay overtime? No.
Nope.
Well, fuck you.
Does keeping your mouth shut get you reprimanded and potentially have a mark against you for being injury prone or clumsy, like in the records for later? Nope. Like, like the bosses don't want to see that crap.
Yeah.
They may say they do, but they have to for safety people.
Oh yeah, it's a liability thing. It's like, we have to say this.
They don't want to see incident reports. They don't want to see people following up on like a stubbed toe or a finger or a cut hand or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to see it because, like, that is paperwork for them to do. They may have to pay you in WCB. They may get attention from WCB for business practices or shit that you guys are doing that they don't want to address because you're getting things done.
Yeah.
Like, it could be the ball rolling for something bad. So people that do that, like, I hate to break it to you, but when layoffs come, you're head of the chopping block.
Yeah.
Because
you're a liability.
You're a liability because you're a narc.
Yeah.
Kind of. Or you're a pussy.
Oh, that's really funny. I was thinking about that. I actually made the argument in a safety course that they're like, oh, what should we be shooting for this? I'm like, I gave a logical answer of medium risk. It's like, no, zero risk. It's like, no, then nothing gets done. It's like, yeah, but it's safe. And I'm like, no, that's a safety answer. It's like, no, we're here because we care. It's like, no, you're here because you're a liability reduction. They can reduce their liability problem. Their what's the word I'm looking for? When it comes to insurance and stuff like that.
You're here to make bureaucrats happy.
Oh, yeah.
That's your job.
It's like,
that's
it. Look, we trained him, and if he steps outside of that training, it's no longer our fault. We did our best. Yeah. You can't increase our insurance because of that. We put in the steps necessary to train him to make sure that he was doing it right. Yeah. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with your actual safety or them caring. It's all about diverting liability off of themselves.
You know, because as somebody who's like, the liability for Ash getting hurt on site lands on me. It's like, I get it. I used to be like, screw these things, like on a roof shingling. I'm like, I don't want to wear this, like, all this stuff, right? It's in the way. But I'm like, after some attention from WCB, I'm like, yeah, we can't have that kind of attention. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. Like, this has nothing to do with the job. This is to do with the fact that we need to keep being able to do jobs and not have the cost of insurance drive us out of business. Yeah. So I'm sorry, Ash. I know you're 21 and have rubber bones and bounce, but you need to wear that fucking thing, and I don't want to hear guff about it. Yeah. That's
Yes, you are literally trailing a tripping hazard and slipping hazard right behind you with that goddamn rope that we all hate.
But when you trip on it, at least it'll catch you.
That's right. And I won't be liable for you falling because we gave you a harness. It's so fucking stupid. And the thing is that you don't actually care.
I don't actually care.
But at the same time, money does.
Uh-huh. And I'm like, now I need to be that guy.
The
thing is, like, my dad doesn't care at all.
Oh, he's the worst.
He does not give a shit about that kind of stuff. Like, he is all gas.
He's cowboy.
He's all gas, no brakes from the old school. So I'm like, I'm the guy that needs to nag about this stuff. I'm like, when did I turn into this person? I hate this person. This would be like, people would like me a lot more if I looked good and had a giant pair of tits.
Right?
I have a giant pair of tits, but I don't look very good.
Yeah, big tits on a fat shaker is as impressive as skinny guy with abs. It's not that.
It's not.
Oh, yeah, I said it.
Yeah, there was one company that I worked for that had a absolutely beautiful woman working as the safety advisor. She got treated a lot nicer than any other safety person I've ever seen. Like, it was genius.
That is smart. It's like the sign girls. You ever go? Okay, that's not a thing nowadays, but back in the day, when you did construction or no, like road construction or stuff like that, they would always have a really hot chick doing sign work, because people would stop for her. Fuck, I'd stop just to look.
And they wouldn't bitch about it either.
No,
right?
they'd be like, I'm stuck in traffic. Huh?
Hey? Right?
It's like, you can go. It's like, I'm good.
Trying your worst to flirt with this woman.
Yeah.
But no, it's not the same anymore. Now they're like, they just try and find anybody to fill that
that can hold a sign.
Like, you're
You got a heartbeat?
You got a heartbeat? Like, you're a crippled old man that's missing a foot. This job's for you. Like, anybody, please come stand in front of traffic for us. It's not the same.
No. I remember when I was doing industrial roofing, we were working on this one school and they had some road construction happening, and a bunch of roofers and one hot chick down there directing traffic, not doing anything. She's just holding a sign. She wasn't doing anything. And these guys just being stupid, just trying to get her attention somehow, were like throwing rocks off the roof at her. I'm like, what the fuck are y'all thinking? I was probably there. I didn't throw rocks, but at the same time, they're throwing rocks. I'll look. Yeah, it was dumb back in the day.
Girls attracting guys is just something that's never going away.
No, that is something.
Or attracting attention from guys.
Yeah.
Cat calls and all that stuff. Like, keep it tasteful, but I mean, it's just something that's never going away.
Did you ever catcall?
No, I've always been too shy.
No, me too. I'm like, I don't know. I'll look, but I'm not like, hey there. No,
I've never been the guy.
good.
I've always been the guy that's like embarrassed on the person's behalf when like somebody who's like way out of this person's league, like is getting harassed by like creepy old guy that's got like.
Or even did you ever the friend that was like very bold and like, I'll go talk to her. It's like, don't do it. Shut up.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's got that friend.
With that being said, I did have a guy I was friends with. He was shyer, but at the same time, he was willing to run his mouth. And he would be like, hey, Michael, I'll bet you $5 you won't go talk to those chicks. I'm like, $5? I went up to him like, hey, my friend bet me $5 that I wouldn't come talk to you. How you doing? I just start talking. And they're like, really, $5? I'm like, yeah, I guess he was very intimidated by you. And I just start talking to them like a person. Like, I'm not trying to get their number. I'm not trying to get anything more than $5 off my buddy, because I wouldn't go up to them otherwise, because man, why?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're interjecting yourself into somebody else's day.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not necessary, but at the same time, $5 is $5, which is a horrible saying to live by.
Amazing.
All right, what time are we looking at?
I
I hate
know.
to cut it short, but
we should wrap it up. This was a good catch up to kind of get back into it, because I haven't sat in this chair in a while and it feels weird. And it's good to just get an easy one under our belt.
Yeah,
and we'll actually think of
good topics.
A good topic for next time around to sink our teeth into.
Well, I'm quite sure people just miss you too. Like, they were like, I miss Devin. With that being said, I do want to get on other people's podcasts at the same time and do more of these. And if you have a topic or idea that you would like us to talk about,
kick it our way so we can tear it to shreds.
Yeah, we will.
We can make you feel like you have never had a fully formed thought in your head before. If you want to feel like that, send your ideas to us. We can make that happen for you.
With that being said, I was just thinking about something. That word that you said earlier, the FOMO or
Phronema.
That's a very esoteric and one of those words that if you didn't know what it meant, that would be a word that makes my wife be like, sorry, what do you say?
What do you mean?
What do you...
Okay.
I love those words.
It's a good word, because just saying mindset doesn't quite capture all the nuance. Just saying like lens or outlook doesn't quite encompass all the things that the word does, because it's a word with 2,000 years of history. So, or even longer, because the Greek language is longer than the Christian faith.
Yeah.
So it's a word with a lot of embedded meaning. So when you actually spend the time to learn what the word means, you can use it to mean a specific thing that nothing else in the Christian language quite captures.
Yeah. Which is something I appreciate that you do as well, because I use the word bombastic at one point, and I'm like, oh yeah, people I'm working on this material for this wedding I'm going to be emceeing, and I'm like, oh yeah, this person is such a good person that they even put up with people who say bombastic things. You know what I mean? And I'll look at this guy that I know. I'm like, Kevin, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Like kind of a
At
joke.
least somebody here gets it.
Somebody gets it. And then my wife's like, sorry, what word? I'm like, bombastic. And
Bombastic.
like,
Have you never heard that word before? It's amazing. It's a great word.
It's a great word. And she's like, and she's like, I don't know that word. And she's like, I'm like,
how?
I don't know. But she just does it. There's just words.
I feel like that's
esoteric. Esoteric is a word that you and I use normally. And I'm like, people should know this word.
Right. I feel like bombastic is a word common enough that somebody should know what it means.
Yeah, so I changed the word to outlandish. I'm like, that's a little easier.
Little easier. It doesn't quite have the same flair to it.
Yeah, but it is a wedding in Saskatchewan, so I'm not so sure I should go so big. Maybe outlandish.
Are you wearing tuxes?
I will be wearing a pinstripe suit.
No, F it. If you're wearing a suit, if this is a black tie affair,
shooting.
Use the biggest fucking words you can. Bring out every $20 word in your lexicon.
Just all the big ones.
Yeah. Just a thesaurus.
If nobody could using the word thesaurus. Let me open my thesaurus. Then close it again. It's like, I don't know how this works.
It's like, I should have known what I was looking for before I did this. Set it down. Stay.
Yeah. I am going to be dirtying it up with my stash. I'm going to keep the stash for the wedding. It's going to be good.
Perfect. I'm so happy to hear that. Never shave it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as the insult of like, that's great. Never shave it. I mean, it's like, literally don't get rid of it. Because otherwise you do look like a sick turtle.
It's really bad.
Like this does improve things a lot.
It shouldn't improve it as much as it does.
I only say that because I'm used to you having facial hair.
I miss it so. The thing is, I had a half decent beard. I was on my way. I was back to having a beard, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna go on this site and do this stupid shit."
Here you go.
And then again today, they're like, "Oh, did you not get the memo? You had to shave." And I'm like, "No, I didn't get the fucking memo." So I had to shave again today. Well, I did a half-ass shave because fuck shaving.
I know, that's why they want people to just shave all the time.
My foreman has a beard. A decent beard. Not a half-ass beard.
So he's obviously been on site long enough.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have to go on that site. You have to go on that.
You gotta go there.
You shave. I'm like,
oh, that's
fuck.
funny.
So yeah, I didn't get the memo.
I don't know what it is. When a bearded man shaves it off, no matter how glorious a chin line he has, you always look like a sick turtle. It's just it.
Do you know what? Ooh, did anyone ever point out that Travis looks like Franklin to you? Franklin
yeah. I've definitely heard that.
Yeah.
He looks like what Franklin would look like after he made some bad life choices and went to juvie, made some more bad life choices, then went to prison, got a bunch of prison ink, and then came back out as a hardened drug dealer.
I want Travis to listen. Like, if he's gotten to this point, he'll be like, I have to respond.
That's the version of Franklin that he looks like. But yeah, it is a version of Franklin.
That's right. So if you're ever curious what Travis looks like, just imagine Franklin the turtle.
Exactly what I just said. Franklin the turtle
they went to juvie.
Wound up being a shot caller for a prison gang.
Yeah.
That's Franklin the turtle as Travis.
We're just going to start calling Franklin.
I don't think Travis has never been the shot caller in a prison gang that I know of, but he looks like he could have been.
We're not saying he hasn't. We just don't know.
He looks the part.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Cool.
I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Cool, guys. God bless.
Peace out, go.